what's everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know who this is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast, Rolling Stone magazine says, initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, line fans to discover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your entire bill. Use the code CPPOD at darkfusionsystems.com. Link to the podcast below. Feature presentation time. I wanted to bring these guys on the podcast in 2022, but stuff happened. But it's 2024. We got a chance now. We have Spencer and Jack from the band Glass Hands on the podcast. We talk about what they've been up to the past 2 years, what their search for a new vocalist is going to be like, and finding that passion for this once again after feeling so deflated because of the way life goes sometimes. I mean, the pandemic really hit these guys. Their lead vocalist leaving the band. They're still good friends, though. Leaving the band just really takes it out of you. But these guys are back once again, and I'm excited to show them to you guys. So are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. Back in 2022, I found out about this band through the release of their Detox EP, and I told myself, I really want to make sure I get this band the podcast at some point. Well, literally when that was released, their frontman at the time, their lead singer, ended up exiting the band for personal reasons, being more of a family man at that point, if I remember correctly. But I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this to happen. And 2 years have gone by, and now they're back with a brand new single called What My Mind Can Do to Me. And I am more than excited to bring you this band with their post-hardcore metalcore mix style that is so catchy. If you haven't got into it yet, you should. So please welcome Jack and Spence from the band Glass Hands to the podcast. So gentlemen, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Yo, thanks for having us, dude.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yo, thanks for being on, guys. And like I said, I've been waiting for this for like 2 years because I still remember when the Detox EP dropped, I was listening pretty much the whole entire way to and from the Indy 500 back in 2022. And I'm like, I got to make this happen. I saw the announcement. I'm like, oh, now we must play the waiting game. But the waiting game is over now, baby, 2 years later. So, woohoo!
Yes, sir. Finally
here.
Finally here. Well, I want to get to know everything that's happened since 2022, since the Detox EP came out. So can you give me the history of everything that's happened over the past 2 years? Give me a summary of everything that's happened because I want to know what you guys have been up to ever since that EP dropped, and we've been waiting for new stuff from you. So what happened?
Sure. Yeah. I wish I could say that there was a lot of stuff going on, but honestly, we haven't really been doing too much. When Adam left, we kind of just were like trying to figure out where to go next, but we've written quite a few songs. We just trying to keep moving forward with that. And then the song that we just put out 2 weeks ago, it was the last song that we wrote with Adam, and we just decided, you know what, this is a great song. We've been sitting on it for a while. Let's just get it out. Kind of keep ourselves out there in the scene and see if we can hopefully find a new singer from that, and just keep writing, and maybe we can start playing shows again soon. But really, there's not much else been going on.
Yeah, it's been a lot of writing, but in that meantime as well, we our drummer Nate was also touring with Chelsea Grin, so he was pretty taken up with still playing music and stuff, but that kind of left us basically just writing for a while. And so not a whole lot of activity in that time, but we've still been making do and getting some demos out there. So we do have some stuff that we're still working on. So it's not like it's been completely inactive, but not as active as we'd like to be.
See, that makes sense, though, especially when you have, your lead singer for such a long time end up leaving the band, and then your drummer goes off and is working with Chelsea Grin consistently. And as you guys try and figure out what you want to do going forward, it makes sense that, maybe there hasn't been as much pressure that you guys have been putting on this so that you can figure that out. And then through the writing process as well, you're still keeping the band alive. You're still keeping things flowing and going, especially from a creative standpoint. But in the end, you're still trying to figure out where you want to go in life. Is this what you want to do? And is Glass Hands something that you want to continue? Because, I mean, when you're working with so many people for so long and all of a sudden now, as time goes on, priorities change. people's perceptions of life change, and that is a-okay. That happens. We're not the same people we were when we were like 10 years old, when
Right.
you thought we could be a quarterback in the NFL, and then realized that dream probably wasn't right. And then the way we look at life when we were 20 versus now, it's completely different. So as times change, you guys were letting yourselves really sit in with that, continue to stay on the creative side, but really figure out where you want to go with this, where you want to go in life, and what you want to do, instead of just trying to push full force forward and kind of ignore any other changes that might be going on in life, in your brains, in your minds. So I do like the way you guys went about it, especially from a personal level, because you didn't let that side slip in the name of just trying to continue to push forward and making sure that this was going to continue on one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely some moments during that 2-year period where I'm like, fuck, do I want to keep doing this? Like, with everything up in the air, it's like, it would be so easy just to walk away and be like, all right, that was a good run. But especially after putting out this new song, I think it really kind of reignited that fire for me, at least, and I'm sure for everybody else, that we want to keep doing this. And we just love the band so much. And, we've all been friends for, like, me and John, our other guitar player, I've known him since I was like 8. We've been friends for 20 years. So it's just kind of a part of our DNA at this point.
Yeah, when it's stuck in your DNA, it's something that you just can't get rid of. But again, you still took the time to figure out if this was in your DNA still, if you were going to want to continue to do it, because you never know what might have happened. You might have wanted to try the similar something with music, but in a different capacity, and try and branch out from there. But again, sitting in this, really trying to figure out what you wanted to do, making sure that your lives personally still, after everything that had happened with, I say everything that had happened, even though it makes it sound bad when it's just like,
Right, sure.
It's just life that's happening. You guys were able to reflect and center yourselves on where you wanted to be, not only as individuals, but as family men and as band members as well, to figure out where you wanted to go. And of course, with the release of this brand new song, and still with having Adam on vocals for it to give that one last taste to the fans as well, it helps, again, like you said, reignite where you wanted to go with this, reignite the passion for continuing to write, want to play shows, and continue Glass Hands going forward. So now you know where you want to go with this, and you're not worried about what ifs. You're not worried about what if I would have done this, what if I would have done that. Well, you took the time to reflect, you took the time to think about it, and through that, you decided, hey, I want to continue this. We want to continue this. Let's keep going at this and see what happens, because if we don't, then we're going to end up living with a life of regret for the rest of our lives. And we really don't want to see you guys do that.
Yeah, 100%. We're, I think we're really in a spot now, at least, for the first time in a while, that we're excited about the future, even though it's still kind of up in the air, especially with a lot of these demos we've been working on. I feel like it kind of gives us some more motivation, and like, okay, we still can write songs even if we don't have a singer. That can come later, but we just need to get these songs together. And sorry, my dogs are freaking out at something. I don't know if you can hear them.
I can hear them. It's okay. Anytime
they're...
an animal ends up appearing on the podcast, whether it's a dog, cat, hedgehog, mini horse, it's always going to be a good time.
Yeah, they're just barking at a squirrel or something.
But the most threatening squirrel of all time. They're trying to, make sure you don't get taken over by the squirrels.
They're just dramatic. Like I was saying, we're just super excited about the future. I think we have a good team behind us, and we're just really looking forward to keep going, and hopefully we can start playing shows. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because I'm kind of getting impatient now. But not trying to rush anything, but hopefully that can move along.
Well, thinking about it, isn't it kind of cool that after all this time and reevaluating, rethinking, refocusing, and now that you've released a brand new song, that fire is back to continue to go forward with this and continue to create and want to do more? Because it kind of reminds you of what you were, like where you were when you first started the band or first started in music, where you had so much in front of you and you just wanted to try something. You just wanted to do this. It was something where that fire was just burning so bright within you. You didn't want to do anything else. Hell, if 8, 9 years old, you're putting down Game Boy, putting down your Pokemon Ruby, Pokemon Sapphire, leave it on the side because you have an idea that you want to try out and go for it. It's that kind of fire that is the stuff that takes bands and artists to new heights, because there's that constant want for more. There's constant drive to do great things and constant drive to try new things they may have never tried before with their music. And if you don't have that, if your fire and passion is somewhere else, then you're not putting as much effort into it on the creative side. It's not going to necessarily come out maybe as strong as it would if that fire was burning brighter within you. It's the same thing for working on these podcasts well, or doing the stuff that I do. If I'm burnt out and whatnot, and I'm trying to focus in on maybe some other things, then I try and make sure this doesn't lack. But then sometimes some of like the social media stuff lacks where it shouldn't be. But all of a sudden it's, when I get on a call like this, start talking with you guys, all of a sudden it's like the fire is just burning and I got to keep this going for as long as possible, because I know what it's like, and it's still that passion is there from when I first started. And it seems like now where you guys are with these brand new demos, writing new music and releasing what my mind can do to me, that passion, that fire like you had back when you first started is back once again.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it. I feel like we kind of, having some time off really kind of gave us some time to just like forget about all the band stuff for a little while in a sense. But then when we come back to it, we're like, oh yeah, I forgot how much we enjoy doing this, and like that it's just time to keep going and pick it back up and hopefully get on it like riding a bike,
Plus, I mean, the beginning of the pandemic really killed a lot of the momentum, because in 2020 we went on a tour in March, of course, and as soon as we went on our first or second day is when we're getting the reports of COVID spreading around and stuff like that. And every day or so we're going to the next show, there's less and less people, and we're like, okay, well, we know we got New York coming up soon, and then we're seeing things of like, oh, you should expect over 100,000 people in New York to have been exposed. So we went on a tour, and at the beginning of that tour COVID hit, and we had, I think, 3, maybe 4 other tours for the year planned. So it was like the height of our momentum, and all of them just got shut down, and then we didn't play a show for 2 years because of the circumstances. So really that killed a massive amount of our momentum, and I mean also kind of our hope for what we could do, because we were still practicing at the time, and then we were after a certain point and after a certain amount of months we were like, what's the point of practicing if we're not going to be playing shows for who knows how many years now, So, but I mean, granted, the shows that we did have within that time frame, like the few during, we had whatever wave that calmed down and then stuff was starting to open before it was closed again. We did have like 1 or 2 shows in there, and they were pretty good, probably just because everyone was also really wanting to get back into live music. But it has turned into, basically since 2020, we've only played a handful of shows, and we were about to go into our biggest move of or biggest little momentum stride with touring and getting out there. And yeah, so it does feel good right now with this new song and seeing the response so far. Like, people still care, and it feels really nice to be like reassured with that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, Spencer, I'm glad you brought that up, just because from my perspective, and I think from the fans' perspective as well, now we get a better understanding of why you guys maybe step back and really took a reevaluation before jumping back into this. Because yes, the pandemic took the wind out of everybody's sails, no matter what band you were, because now you couldn't go out and tour, or there were bands that were releasing new albums right as the pandemic broke out. So it's like, what can you do with that? They're just sitting there. You can't go out and tour on them. And then what do you do? Because there was no end in sight. There was no like definitive date going through 2020, and then early 2021, it was like, we're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel, but who knows when live music is going to come back, because it was the first thing to go and the last thing to come back, given how the COVID-19 pandemic played out and how that virus was transmitted. But for you guys, you're starting on such a high note going into it, with multiple tours, really getting that momentum, and then having it absolutely just, crushed by COVID-19. It's easy for people to say, oh, you can't let, that just like, stop your momentum or stop your wants. You just have to keep going at it. But it we're human. It's not easy, and it happens, especially when you don't have any idea when it's going to come back or any idea of when you can do this again. So that hope just drains out of you. And when you guys were finally able to come back, it's like, okay, how do we pick up back on that momentum? How do we pick up back on this want and this desire and this drive to do this when for the past 1.5 to 2 years, you guys have been, practicing, trying to do this stuff, but it just doesn't really hit. It's just like the momentum just doesn't hit anymore. So stepping back, especially for what everything that had taken that place and reevaluating, the best thing I can say is I am just glad that you guys are back and making music and having that fire and that passion back once again. For something like that to happen, there's a lot of people that would just step back, give up, not even try, and go to what they would deem as the path of least resistance or the safest option. You guys took the step back to really evaluate it and found that fire once again. So I'm just here to say it again. I'm happy that you guys are back and you guys got through that.
Thank you, man. We're happy to be here. We definitely missed everything that comes with being in a band, releasing music, playing shows, doing podcasts, all that stuff. Just kind of feels like we're a real band again. So we're glad to be here. Now,
the main key is we have to find a way to help you guys get that momentum back so that you guys can go into 2025 with the same kind of momentum you had going into 2020. That's the hope, but we got to see how we can get there.
Yeah, the biggest thing is our biggest priority right now is just finding a singer. That's proven to be more difficult than I thought it would be. I think the biggest thing about that is Adam, our old singer. He's still one of our best friends to this day. We've been friends with him since middle school. Our other guitarist and him still live together. We hang out with him all the time, so it's just hard. We had such a deep friendship and relationship with him that it's hard to find not just a singer that's as good or better, but also to have that same connection that we have with Adam. That's almost the bigger challenge that we've found.
And to emphasize, he's got some big shoes to fill.
Adam
I can't do hardly any of that.
Hard to kind of replicate what he does, but I don't think we're gonna find someone who's gonna try to replace Adam. That's not really our goal. Our goal is to find someone who just has something to bring to the table, whether it's a different vocal style or maybe a similar vocal style to Adam, but still keeping that glass hand sound, but broadening our horizons as much as we can.
And styles change, but we can always adapt as well. If we feel like someone's got a good fit, if they've got a good personality that clicks with all of us, and they sound pretty damn good, we can make it work. So yeah, it's mostly just the singer we're looking for right now.
I was just going to ask you guys, what were you looking for when it comes to a new singer, and what's, the process looking like? But you pretty much explained it right then and there, Jack, where I get that, Adam you have a lot of shoes to fill, or big shoes to fill, when it comes to trying to find a new vocalist following Adam. I'm not going to say replace Adam, because it's going to be hard to find a replacement like that. So I'm not really going to say that, especially because you guys are still great friends. You guys still have that strong bond and that strong relationship, where saying the word replace just makes it feel like you're taking them out and putting someone else in there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like you're still, but I like what you're thinking about, where you're trying to find someone that's going to fit in with you guys as a band and personality wise in a similar fashion like Adam did, so that the creative process can continue to flow and you can build up on those strong personal relationships with each other as well. But beyond that, it's not looking for someone to replace his vocal style exactly, because as times change, as bands have had to replace vocalists or find new ones, the sound is never the same. And it's if you find someone that has a very close sound, but it's just not the exact same, then everyone's going to be always comparing that vocalist to who the previous 100%. One was. And if you really were connected to the previous one in your own musical journey, it's going to be hard to get into the rest of the band and anything new that they do. But however, if you find someone that has a different vocal style, and it's not replacing them, but just, I'm not going to say rebooting the band, but at the same time seeing where you guys want to go from here, it gives you as a band a chance to expand your sound, a chance to expand where you want to go, because maybe the new vocalist doesn't have the same exact skill set that Adam did, but maybe their strengths are amplified in a different way, where there are certain ideas you've always wanted to try with glass hands, and now they seem a lot more viable because this new vocalist, their overall style, their overall strengths can help maximize on the idea that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've been a band that's always like we've never been afraid to just try new things. I feel like any of our releases you listen to, they all sound fairly different from each other for the most part. Whether it's like, you know, a heavier song or a softer song, I feel like we pull from so many different genres outside of like the metal world. So having somebody who sounds different enough from Adam, but not, you know, too far outside of our comfort zone. You know, we're not going to try to find like a Brian from Knock Loose or something. I feel like that would be a little bit jarring, but you know, someone who can still do a little bit of everything. But like you said, there could be someone out there that has some strengths that maybe Adam couldn't quite hit that we can kind of highlight with him. But we're open to really any style. Just it's really more about the connection and how passionate the person is about songwriting and being in a band. And just I feel like having somebody who has that energy and that drive is going to also motivate us, and that'll kind of kick things into a higher gear.
So we're not looking for someone that can scream that insanely in falsetto like Brian Garris can.
I mean, it would be cool. I wouldn't be mad about it. I just think it would be a little odd, but hey, I mean, if it fits, then fuck it.
Right.
Hey, you never know. I mean, think about like Lorna Shore going from CJ all of a sudden to Will Ramos and what Will brought to the table just with his uncleans, the way he can just snarl like a freaking pig being slaughtered.
Like a monster.
And just absolutely create this incredible voice that goes back behind that theatrical deathcore style. Or take a look at like a Kill Switch Engage from Jesse then to Howard, where Howard brought this like still was heavy, but his voice brought this certain type of soul to the overall music. And then when Howard left and they went back to Jesse, it's like Jesse can still sing Howard's songs and they sound a little different, but it's like that passion is still there.
Mm-hmm.
You still want to hear Howard sing them, and so if you ever see Kill Switch Engage go out and tour with Light the Torch again, you got to go see it. Trust me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
it's good stuff. But go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I always go back to like when I think about bands who have had multiple vocalists. I always go back to Era as an example, because I think they've had 3 different vocalists. And now they're like bigger than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. I mean, JT is insane.
Dude, I used to watch JT's vocal covers on YouTube before he was even in Texas in July.
Right. So that kind of gives me hope that, you know, even with any member changes, especially with the vocalists changing, you know, you can still come back stronger, and it's definitely not the end.
Yeah, or another one I was thinking about too was from like 2015, 2016 when From Ash to New first came out, and they lost pretty much everybody except Matt and Lance, and they're trying to find a brand new vocalist to add to the mix, and they found Danny Case on the internet singing vocal covers.
Yeah, right.
And it's like you listen to the original stuff, it's like, okay, they really had something. But then when they brought in Danny, it's just like, yeah, Danny can kind of do a good amount of that stuff. But it's just his strengths can take over in so many different ways. And From Ash to New went from playing little... the first time I was supposed to see him was during the pandemic as an opener on a tour for Fire from the Gods. And it was a co-headliner with Bad Wolves and Hollywood Undead.
Oh, wow.
And the last time I saw him, they headlined a room of about 3,000 people.
Jeez. That's awesome.
Yeah, in the span of 4 years. Like, I'm just like, yeah, this happens. Like, you guys got this. And again, it all depends upon how you guys are looking at this vocalist search and what you're trying to go for. But it's having this openness and willingness to see where their sound is going to go and where the sound can amplify your ideas. But the most important thing is this person going to mesh well with the band overall as people? Because if you guys can find the best vocalist out there, someone who's like the exact carbon copy of Adam. But if your personalities don't match, then it just ain't gonna work. But
there's no point then, because I mean, yeah, you'd want to connect with your people you're playing music with. Like, that's your passion. You wanna keep that going. You don't want some personal beef to get in the way of doing what you love. So
yeah, and we're still like a small band. Like I would still consider us like a local band, I guess. You know, we've never been on a label or anything like that. So I feel like a lot of people could come in and like take it too seriously, but it's like, dude, we're not making money from this. This isn't our day job. Like, bring the ego down. Like, there's no room for ego in the music scene in general, especially for a band of our size that is not sizable really at all, comparatively speaking. So yeah, no assholes allowed in the band is kind of my motto.
Yeah, because especially at a small level, whether you're local or even like regional as well, maybe even at the national level and beyond, if you have something that has such a strong ego, then that can really put a huge damper on the band going forward, because creatively you're not going to want to work with a person like that. You're not going to want to spend a lot of time with a person like that. And while the antics might, intrigue fans at times, if the antics keep going and they keep going too far and they distract from the music, then it just becomes more of a sideshow than anything else. And that's not something you really want when it comes to trying to make something from a creative standpoint that you're not making the most amount of money from, but it's something that you absolutely enjoy, and you don't want to lose out on that enjoyment of something that's so creative and so within you from someone that just won't let their ego be checked at the door.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's too many people like that out there. But on the other side of things, there's a lot of people who are of the same mindset that we are and get it. It's a passion project, if you will, but also like we would like to turn this into something that we can do professionally and kind of make a living off of, hopefully one day. But that's not where we're at now. So we're just gonna play it at the level that we're on, and hopefully whoever we find will be of the same mindset, and we'll all
just keep
rise up
forward
together. Yeah.
And that's why I love bringing bands like from all walks of life on the podcast, whether they have the most amount of success, whether they're just starting out, or whether they've been through a good deal, and you never know what might happen, just because we've, like, especially from the beginning, everyone started out somewhere. And as you continue to grow, as you continue to try and do things, of course, certain things come up, certain roadblocks happen, but you're not going to grow in the same pattern that somebody else did. Maybe someone's just creatively has an idea that works better than yours. Maybe they just had a moment, or maybe they knew a bunch of people and they just got that boost that some people just don't get. But it's something that's beautiful to still see how much passion you guys are putting into this, how much care you're putting into this, to continue to put forward such great effort to make sure that you guys are doing what you want to do in life, and hopefully get Glass Hands to the point where you guys can do this professionally. Because honestly, I really want to see it. I mean, there's a lot of bands that bring on the podcast. I want to see you guys get to the point where you can do this full time, where you can support yourself on the music that you create, and you can continue to do this so that you can keep giving so much to so many people that truly love your music, truly connect with it, and it makes their world a better place, along with making your world a better place, along with the people around you. So, like, I want to see that success happen. So I want to see, how can we get that momentum rolling back again? How can we get that word out so you guys can find the vocalist that is going to perfectly fit where you guys want to go, and just take that creative space and just run with it. So, you guys already have songs written, but where's those next songs coming from? Where's that vocalist going to come from? And where is that next momentum wave for Glass Hands going to come, where we aren't going to have a pandemic that's going to slow you guys down?
Yeah, there is no pandemic really anymore. That definitely helps things. Hopefully that won't happen again anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have a good team behind us now. The producer we went to for What My Mind Can Do to Me, Will Carlson, he's kind of part of the Bill Murray team. He does a lot of stuff with Bill Murray and Johnny and all them. And we just love his writing process, and he really helped bring this song to life. And I feel like getting in the studio with him kind of reignited that flame even more.
That helped bring the energy too. Like he was so awesome to work with. And so like when we worked with Andrew Wade and Bud and Nia Westfall at the Audio Compound and in Florida, that was also a great experience. But it was so much more professional than a lot of our other previous studio experience. So because we traveled for that. It was more expensive than we've usually gone with as well. But we had time. We had saved up some money during the pandemic, since we were a little bit slower on shows. So we all kind of saved up a little bit more and made that a nice trip, which that was a very cool trip. But so for this experience, it was really cool to work with Will, because it was a very laid back vibe. We got our stuff done, and he's able to still joke around with us, all the same kind of humor and everything like that. And he was able to make it a very comfortable place where we're not only like we got to focus on this, we have to get this done on a certain schedule kind of thing. Like it wasn't anything like that. It was very laid back and calm while also getting the best result we can. And it was just so awesome to work with Will. He was
Yeah.
a very cool dude.
Yeah, it was probably the most relaxing studio experience I've had.
I agree with that.
May or may not have been some White Claws deleted in that studio session that might have helped, but yeah, definitely my favorite studio experience we've had. And I think the song also is a reflection of that, because it just came out way better than we could have ever anticipated. And that a lot of that is because of Will. So shout out Will Carlson. You're the man.
For sure.
Well, shout out to Will Carlson once again, because I want to make sure everyone hears that name. So if you need something produced, need something to be worked on in the music realm, go to Will Carlson. Might get something good out of it. But you're talking about the creation of the song and how it was the best studio experience you had. So why doesn't it just make sense for us to dive into the song and really get deep into it to see where you guys are going with it? So when it comes to What My Mind Can Do to Me, where did the inspiration of the song overall come, not only from a lyrical standpoint, but also from that instrumentally creative standpoint to create the sound that you did going? Well, so now for this new, not necessarily new, but this continuation of Glass Hands.
Sure. Yeah, this song was kind of a one-off song. Like I really don't remember how we started it, but we had been really into Bill Murray and Sleep Token. Those were kind of the two biggest bands that were in our rotation at the time. So we definitely pulled some influences from there. But we also, I feel like in the past, like on Detox, we kind of focused on like 7 strings, lower tunings, and kind of some new stuff that we hadn't done before. But with What My Mind Can Do to Me, we just went back to our roots, like 6-string guitar, drop D, like nothing crazy, and kind of really just simplified the process down. And we're not trying to do anything overly flashy or anything like that. It was just a very cohesive, I feel like easily digestible song that really kind of showcases all of our influences into one song.
Even some of the guitar parts, I think John said he had inspiration from John Mayer as well.
Yeah,
which is a very, very, very big change. Bill Murray and Sleep Token, which it's funny that they did that tour too together. But you got that, and then contrasting with some John Mayer. But John is also an amazing guitarist too, so that he can do anything.
Yeah, and lyrically speaking, since we did have Adam on this one, he did all the lyric writing, all the vocal writing. Which I have a note here about kind of the short meaning behind this song. It's essentially about the isolating experience of getting trapped in your own head, but also feeling like you're afraid of falling back into a state after you've made it out. So it's kind of like an internal battle with your mind. Your mind tells you one thing, but deep down that what your mind is telling you is not always the truth. And it's kind of just this internal struggle that people have, that you just have to learn how to discern what is truth and what your mind is kind of making up, or telling you, kind of being the demon in the back of your mind. And it's really just finding that mental state to separate the two and be like, okay, I know what is true and what is just your mind playing tricks on you, essentially. So that's kind of the gist of what Adam was writing for that song.
I can see the gist where Adam was writing that, and I think that, like, because when I picked up on it, I'm like, okay, I think I pretty much hit on that, so I'm gonna expand on that even further, because I picked up about the fear that lives inside us, given how our minds can destroy us and how that reverberates, and those reverberations of a time when that happened can lead us to fear and reluctance to just even open up to people or open up to anybody once again. That mind is a powerful thing that can change our overall mood in an instant and keeps us in a constant despair and destruction when we allow that. getting out of that idea and getting out of that mindset is not easy. Believe me, I've been in there. I know what it's like. But we also live this constant worry of falling back into it when we get past it, causing us to stay more guarded about ourselves. It also is a song that helps us know that we aren't the only ones that have dealt with this or are dealing with this. And it's okay to open up once again, because staying closed off is another way that our mind can continue to mess with us.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yep.
Woohoo! Did it once again. I gotta get my whole tally up on the board right now, because I probably would have like 200 at this point. So I'm like, okay, let's get another one on there. It's 201. But that's where, the beauty of the music comes in, is you can just pick up on it, you can relate to it, and you can just dive deeper into it. And it's the overall mood of the song that really funnels into that as well, because yeah, when you're thinking about, maybe taking influences from maybe Bill Murray or Sleep Token at the moment, it adds to that overall maybe deeper mysticism at times, especially from a Sleep Token side, because it opens up in such a vast array of consciousness, from a guitar tone setting, from a progression, from just how the songs are structured, that it allows you to dive deeper within yourselves. When you brought up John Mayer as well, yes, John Mayer is a great guitarist, but his style might be a little bit more upfront and a little bit more calming to people's minds, because it is a little bit more on the popular side, so people understand it a little bit more, but it also puts it in much more of a relatable context than more of an abstract style that something like Sleep Token or even Bill Murray would. So you guys are able to use that vastness to really open up people's minds to get into it, but then able to use that idea and that influence from John Mayer to center us back within it, so we can open up to it, but then we're also understanding exactly where everything is coming from in our own emotions when we listen to this song.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other little thing that was kind of built in the lyrics was how, along with this mindset, it kind of also, those feelings that come with those mindsets, it kind of can happen from, a relationship going stagnant and trying to work through those kind of things. That's where some of the lyrics are also inspired from. It's a mix of all of that with, you can feel partners drifting apart and the mindsets that come with those, and trying to fix that, and the internal struggle between all of it. That is kind of what ties all that together. And I feel like it is also relatable, because a lot of people can feel that when they're going through breakup, or if they're in the middle of, maybe it's coming but not there yet, kind of thing.
And that's another thing that I like about how Adam has always structured his lyrics, is I feel like he writes them with a meaning in mind, but when it's all out on paper, it can kind of be interpreted by, I might interpret it differently based on like my own experiences, whereas you would interpret it differently based on your own experiences. So it can really, I feel like you can pull something from it, even if it's not directly written about what you're going through.
And there's symbolisms and metaphors that can be, the lyrics can be taken and interpreted in a lot of different ways for a lot of different situations. Even if he writes about one thing, it can apply to someone else when they're listening to it, based on their experience as well. So yeah, he's got a great style of writing for making you feel something.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
He's really good at that.
Yeah, he gives you like that storytelling roadmap from a mental standpoint, given the metaphors and the symbolism and the lyricism that gets put in there. Because if Adam, and especially on the songs you guys have done with him in the past, if he went way too abstract, then it's, we get into this mystic void of this song can really dive deep into so many different places. But as listeners, we have no idea the story you're trying to tell or where you're trying to lead us. If you get too specific, yeah, that's fine, especially when it comes to a storytelling standpoint. But if we haven't gone through that, then it's going to be hard for us to get into, unless it's just straight story driven or maybe even lore driven at that point. But when it comes somewhere, it has that, connection to it, where it's coming from a place of reality and coming from a place that's genuinely within you, but you write it in this way that has metaphors and symbolism so that people can follow that exact roadmap, but then just do a plug and play of their own personal experiences to really find meaning, to find appreciation for the song. That's where a lot of the beauty comes in, and that's where a lot of our favorite songs really sink in with us, because they have stuff like that.
Yep.
And it means something to you when you're listening to it as well. Yeah, like it just hits that much harder when you can relate to it.
Yeah, it hits you like a freaking Mack truck. It's like,
Yeah.
Ow.
ran over by all 18 wheels and then backed over again.
Then getting backed over again, and then after you get backed over again, they get almost to that last wheel of the front, and then it just parks on you and just sits there for a while. It's like, you're going to sit here and think about what you've done.
Yeah.
I might just sound like, like a very disappointed parent of a kid that, did something bad. You're going to sit down here and think about what you did.
Yeah, he has that effect on people with his words.
Hey, but that's the beauty of it. And then when it comes to, seeing where you guys went with this song, seeing where the lyricism works and how you guys connect with it, that's something that, especially when you're looking for new vocalists and they're going to be part of the lyric writing process, that maybe you want to look into as well. Someone that not necessarily writes the same way as Adam, but has a similar flow to where they can amplify these different ideas through their lyrics like Adam was able to, so that when people listen to your songs, whether you go with something that a little bit has more of that, ambient feel, a little bit more of this melodic style like you did on this song, or some of the ones that have a little bit more pace, a little more aggression, like some of your earlier tracks as well, it still fits within that, and they still have the overall flow and overall mystical lyrical ideas to put all these together for that emotional roadmap as we listen.
Yep, 100%.
So you guys I'll say you guys definitely have a fun little task on your hands, but I know you guys are doing your best when it comes to putting that all together, when it comes to working on finding new vocalists and continuing on with this, because, hey, the passion is there. It's clear. If the passion wasn't there, then this song that we're talking about right now, what My Mind Can Do to Me would not be out. There wouldn't be demos out there waiting to be worked on and waiting to be continued, waiting to evolve. There wouldn't be a want to try and play shows and get back to that momentum you had pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
like if it wasn't there,
even after we released Detox, because Adam had talked to us about leaving before the EP was out. So when it came time to do press for Detox, we did get some podcast requests and stuff, but we were like, we don't really have anything to talk about because we don't know what the future is going to be like. So no, we're not going to do it. But now, even though we don't have a vocalist in place, we still we're back to that. No, let's do it. We got to get out there. We got to, really just hit everything that we can. And it definitely is there. And I'm excited to capitalize on that. Hopefully we can get something rolling by next year at the earliest. I'm hoping. I don't really have a timeline in place, but obviously the sooner the better.
See, I understand not having a timeline in place. I also understand now why when I reached out around the time the Detox EP released in 2022, why I never heard back what the reason behind it was. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand. I thought that was the reason behind it because we're like, what's next? Who knows? And why try and put things out there if you don't know what they are?
Yeah, none of us knew it was going to happen. So
you don't have a crystal ball where it's like, I must predict the future now.
We were just like in such a, I don't want to say a negative headspace, but just like
it felt defeated, I'd say.
Yeah, because
not negative. We wanted to keep it going, but we just felt very like we're just getting smacked over and over, like the pandemic and everything. And then as soon as we were ready to release new music, we got smacked with the vocalist leaving, and so we just felt defeated, but we knew we still wanted to do stuff. So it's been a little bit of a process, but we're still here, and we're still having fun releasing our music. So this has been feeling great since this song has been out, and it's been getting an awesome response, and it just feels like we're back at it.
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe instead of defeated, more like deflated, just because the want to do it was still there, but it was everything that had come from you. Just the air was let out of the band, basically, from
pretty much
from Adam leaving the band to what the pandemic caused. Yeah, so I totally get it, and I'm just glad that that it got reinflated, basically, so that you guys are releasing music once again. You guys have the want and the desire to do this, and you guys get to come on here and talk about it with actual ideas of what might happen in the future, though it's still ambiguous. Who knows? But there is a desire and a focus and an inflated feel of, we got this again, baby. Woo!
Yeah, absolutely.
Right back into it. Well, I was going to ask you guys about what the future was going to hold for you, but you kind of just explained it. So you guys are taking the questions right out of me. Jeez. Don't know how to think about that, but I do have a question for you guys that you guys haven't answered yet, but I'm going to ask it anyway because it's something I love to ask every single artist I bring on this podcast. It's a way for us as music lovers to get to know more new music, but also get to know about the bands that you guys love and would love to see more people get into. So I've got 2 of you. I'm looking for 3 total between the 2. So guys, can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into?
Spencer, if you got one on deck, go for it. I gotta
Well,
think about it.
so I've got my bands I love, but so are you kind of asking that in terms of like, are we looking for like relatively smaller artists that we wish people would get more into that way, or like maybe just my favorite band and I want more people to know that this is my favorite artist kind of thing?
It could be either or. You can take it in any direction, honestly. I've had people give me some of the biggest bands out there. I've had people give me some of the most obscure bands out there. I've had people give me their like siblings or their kids' bands because they want to see them get better. So literally any way you want to take it is fine with me.
I'm gonna.
You go for it, Jack.
I was just gonna start. There's a band from Indy, some of our best friends. They're called Exit Wounds. They grind so hard. They deserve every good thing that comes their way. They're heavy and they're just good guys, and they are just fucking awesome. Some of our best friends.
They're great.
Check them out. Exit Wounds on Spotify.
That's not the first time I've asked this question, and Exit Wounds was one of the answers.
Really?
So,
that's amazing.
Hell yeah.
That's what we love to hear. We love to hear our homies doing
awesome.
good big things, you know.
Another band I want to shout out. They're a relatively smaller band. I don't know where they're from. I think they're from like Minnesota or something. But From Joy, if you've ever heard of them, I don't even know how to describe them, like death metal, genty, jazzy, like just weird shit, but it's so cool, very unique, a lot of energy, a lot of blast beats.
I'll give a shout out. We got the Toxards in California.
Yeah.
So the drummer of that band he was the drummer and singer of my very first band before I joined this one, and then I've been in this one. So I've only ever been in 2 bands total. So this was like our junior high and high school band, and he went out to California for some like film school type stuff, and he met some friends and made a band there, and it kind of just kept going and kept going. They all have very, very good personalities for getting out there doing stuff on stage, even to the point where the drummer, his name is Casey, shout out Casey Donovan. If there's a point in their set, they have a song called Angus the Prize Winning Hog. He literally gets into an inflatable pig suit to sing the song.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
They're so talented, but they also bring such humor on stage, and the energy is there. Their songs are really well done. So they've got a mix of everything, and they just have so much fun at their shows. You can tell they have so much fun. The crowd has so much fun. So shout out to the Toxards. They're great. They're from California.
That was a good shout.
And they within the past year or 2, I can't remember which, they are on Hopeless Records now.
Oh, yep. Nice.
Yep.
I'll say if they're going to act like that on stage and do stuff like that, then they got to go tour with a band like Avoid and just make it crazy.
Dude, it would be a great fit.
Or if they want to go even heavier, they got to go tour with they got to bring out a band called Belushi Speedball. I've
heard them, yeah.
Dude, I've never been in a more fun pit maybe this year, maybe ever than Belushi Speedball. That's awesome. So if you guys get a chance to go see them, please do. But
I'll go see them just based on the name alone.
Right.
They've got a song called My Favorite Color is Pizza.
Nice.
So the old Devil Wears Prada days of like dogs can go beards all over like type names.
HTML rules, dude.
Yeah.
And all the good stuff. But you guys gave some great suggestions, and also everyone, you got to go check out Glass Hands, and you got to stay in the know with them because more good stuff is coming, and the world is their oyster. The future holds whatever it may for them. You don't know, but why not get in on it with them? So we're going to close out this podcast with 3 things. First things first, Glass Hands is here, but you're going to want to stay in the know with them. So to do that, go to Script for the Podcast, which is Find Glass Hands online. Links, labels for everything for social media where you can check out all their music on YouTube and where you can stream their music on stuff like Spotify and Apple Music, and go and support them as well and get ready when they start playing shows once again. So all the information's on there. All the links are down there. All you have to do is click on one and go and hit the follow button or the like button. I'm doing literally all the work for you. It's 2 clicks for you guys to do at least one of these things. So go and do it. Now it's time for number 2. Gentlemen, whenever guests on the podcast, I enjoy having the podcast. I always make a certain promise as a way to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I want to continue to support the band in the future. So I know that you guys haven't played that many shows, but when I get to see you perform live for the first time, because I know it's going to happen, I will come and find you guys. I will give you the big ol' hi, how you doing? But that's not the promise I'm making you. The promise I'm making you is first rounds on me.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go.
All right.
Where are you located?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. All right. We'll be up there
At
some point. I don't know when, but we'll be up there.
Well, if you can't make it to Milwaukee, trust me, Chicago is A-okay.
Okay. We go to Chicago fairly often. That's one we frequent. That's pretty close to us. So yeah, we'll at least be in Chicago, but I don't think we've ever played in
Milwaukee
Wisconsin.
too. We want to get there too.
Yeah, come to Milwaukee. It's a fun time. But yeah, if you guys make Chicago, I can still make it there. I mean, hell, the week we shot this, on Tuesday, I drove from Milwaukee to go see Caskets play their headlining set. Drove back home, woke up at 4:30 in the morning to go work and work out and whatnot. And then I drove back down to Chicago again the next night because, hey, Sum 41 was playing at a venue that only holds like 1,000 people for a Riot Fest after show. And there was no way I was going to miss out on some good old Sum 41 on their last tour. Come on.
Right.
So driving out to Chicago on a middle of the week day, when I got to work the next day, that don't faze me.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely get to Chicago at the bare minimum, but we'll try to get up to Milwaukee too. That'd be a good time.
Oh, make it happen. I really hope you guys do. And now it's time for number 3. Guys, as I bring this podcast to conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye. That's way too final. I'd love to be back on again in the future, especially as you guys can release more new music, seeing where you guys go with this. And I made you a promise. I got to keep it. So this is not goodbye. This is, I'll see you later.
Yes, sir. We'll see you later.
Good. I'll see you later.
Well, folks, this is my interview with Jack and Spencer, the band Glass Hands. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. Let's see where I want to go with this final thought. This band is one I wanted on for quite a while. Just because I first listened to them in 2022 when the Detox EP came out, wanted to bring them on. But of course, with Adam's departure from the band and with the band trying to figure out where they wanted to go with this, it just made sense that they didn't respond. Totally fine. Don't get me wrong. Totally fine. But what makes a lot of sense to me is the fact that when things are going down, when things are, going rough and you feel deflated, that you got to take a step back and reevaluate. And I'm glad that's what Glass Hands did. I'm glad that's what Spencer, Jack, and of course John as well did. They took a step back, they took a deep breath, and they decided to reevaluate and see where they really want to go in life. Because when a pandemic completely deflates your momentum and then you're trying to get back into it and, it's just not going as well as it was before the pandemic, and then your lead vocalist leaves, it does take a huge toll. And by stepping back and taking their time, they rediscovered what they want to do in life. They rediscovered their passion for music. They rediscovered their passion to be creative, to work together on this stuff, create demos, and heck, they released what my mind can do for me, what my mind can do to me, with Adam on vocals, so you still got that one more time as well. They're looking for a vocalist, so please, please, please reach out to them if you are interested. I am more than happy to, maybe direct anybody that's interested. So please let me know. Please let the band know, because you might be the missing link that's going to get them to the next level once again and rebuild back that momentum. So I'm hoping for the best for Glass Hands. I can't wait to see these guys again on the podcast and see them for the first time live. When it comes to Glass Hands, though, go description of the podcast below. Link symbols for everything you're going to be there for Glass Hands, so you can get to the know with them, know when they're going to be playing shows once again, when more new music is released, and any news that comes out from them. Also, be sure to follow us at the Chord Progression Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links below as well. Hit the subscribe button right down here if you're on YouTube, as we put out podcast episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday. We also are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts with the follow button there. Hit the like button on these videos and on these episodes to make sure they get pushed in the algorithm and so more people get to know about these bands. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. Go check out Glass Hands. And that's going to be for me, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. And you guys know emergency goes themselves. With a big, healthy, and hearty see ya. Oh.